Think about it for a moment. You share something with every single human who's ever lived, something that no other creature on Earth has. It's not your intelligence. It's not your opposable thumbs. It's not even your ability to make tools or language. It's your chin, that little shelf of bone beneath your face, small, subtle, but absolutely, uniquely human. And here's the wild part. We still don't fully understand why we have it. Ever since Homo sapiens was formally named in the 1700s, scientists have struggled to define what exactly makes us us. When Carl Linnaeus, the father of modern taxonomy, added humans to his Systema Naturae, he didn't describe our physical traits. Instead, next to Homo sapiens, he simply wrote two words in Latin, nosce te ipsum, know thyself. That's turned out to be far harder than anyone expected. For centuries, scientists have proposed defining traits, the hunters, the toolmakers, the large-brained species. Each theory eventually collapsed. But one physical trait refused to be debunked, the chin. Every single human skull, from prehistoric caves to modern times, has this unmistakable projection at the front of the lower jaw, what scientists call the mental eminence. This isn't just a random bump of bone. It's a distinct anatomical design shaped like an inverted T, with a vertical ridge running down the center, joining a horizontal shelf that juts outward. No other animal shares it. Chimpanzees, gorillas, even our close Neanderthal cousins, their jaws slope backward in what's known as a receding symphysis. Ours, by contrast, curve forward. That simple curve is one of the few clear signatures of Homo sapiens in the fossil record. When scientists uncovered the skulls of Neanderthals in the 19th century, the absence of chins was striking. Later, fossils of Australopithecus afarensis, the species of the famous Lucy and Homo erectus, showed the same pattern. None of them had a projecting chin. At some point, somewhere between ancient hominins and modern humans, the chin appeared, and it never left. Surely, scientists thought, something so unique must serve a purpose. Right? Over the years, theories have ranged from the imaginative to the absurd. Some claimed it was a built-in clamp, helping prehistoric humans hold materials like animal hides between their jaws while working. Others believed it evolved through sexual selection, that chins were simply attractive, a sign of maturity or beauty that natural selection favored. And then there was the punching hypothesis. According to that idea, the chin evolved as a form of facial armor, a reinforced plate to absorb the shock of fistfights. In one study, Olympic boxers even punched instrumented dummies to test impact stress around the jaw. It made for great headlines, but scientifically, it didn't hold up. Like so many just-so stories in evolution, it sounded good until the data failed to back it up. In 1913, a physician proposed that the chin was linked to language, that it helped anchor muscles used in speech. Since human communication depends on fine, complex tongue and jaw movements, he reasoned, perhaps evolution reshaped the jaw to support them. It was an elegant idea, but it didn't fit the anatomy. Those muscles, it turned out, attached to the inside of the jawbone, not to the outer point we call the chin, and so that theory faded too. Still, one thing became increasingly clear. Whatever its purpose, the chin belonged exclusively to Homo sapiens. It could even help paleoanthropologists identify our species among fossils of our ancient cousins. But its evolutionary origin? Still a blank space. In the mid-20th century, researchers turned to biomechanics, studying how bones and muscles handle physical stress. One hypothesis linked the chin to our airway, that as humans evolved upright posture, the angle of our skull and spine shifted, creating new constraints for breathing that the chin somehow compensated for. But evidence for this was thin. Other scientists focused on chewing a far more promising direction. Unlike our ape relatives, our faces and jaws have shrunk dramatically over evolutionary time. As our brains grew larger and rounder, the front of our faces retracted inward, altering how the jaw handled force. Maybe, researchers suggested, the chin acted as a buttress, a structural reinforcement against the pressures of chewing. Since bone reshapes itself under repeated stress, perhaps the chin simply formed as the jaw adapted to new mechanical loads. That theory seemed to fit for a while. Then, in 1967, the discovery of the Omo-1 fossil in Ethiopia, a 230,000-year-old early Homo sapiens, revealed a clear, prominent chin. It proved this trait had existed since nearly the dawn of our species. But it didn't answer the why. By the late 20th century, a few biologists proposed a bold idea. What if the chin doesn't do anything? In evolutionary biology, there's a term for features that arise as byproducts of other changes, spandrels. They aren't directly shaped by natural selection. They just come along for the ride. Maybe the chin is one of them, an accident of evolution, born from the shifting geometry of the modern human skull. Proving that kind of non-function is notoriously difficult. How do you demonstrate that something doesn't have a purpose? And so, for decades, the mystery of the chin hovered in scientific limbo. In the 1,990 seconds, researchers returned to the chewing theory with fresh tools and models. One scientist compared human jaws with those of other primates and found that ours were uniquely short and broad. Using detailed stress analysis, he discovered that this shape creates twisting forces, vertical bending, at the center of the jaw, where the two halves meet. The thickest bone lay right where the bending stress was highest, exactly at the chin. That correlation, he argued, couldn't be coincidence. The chin, in this view, was an adaptation, a response to mechanical stress born from our distinctive facial proportions. Earlier hominins, whose faces and jaws jutted forward, never faced that problem, and so never needed a chin. But later modeling complicated the story again. Some simulations showed that chinned jaws weren't actually better at handling stress than chinless ones. If that's true, the chin might still be just there. Today, there's still no scientific consensus. Some see the chin as a functional adaptation. Others insist it's an evolutionary spandrel, a beautiful accident. But one thing remains true. The chin is a marker of who we are. It's the signature of Homo sapiens, a feature that allows us to recognize ourselves in the fossil record. Even if it serves no survival advantage, it gives us a kind of identity in deep time. So maybe Linnaeus was right after all. To know ourselves is to look at the smallest details, the curve of bone beneath our lips, and realize that even something seemingly pointless can still define an entire species. Our chins may not have a purpose, but they've helped us find our place in history. And for that alone, this humble piece of bone has earned its place as one of the strangest and most human mysteries of all. The chin may seem small, but it marks the line between what we were and what we became. Subscribe to Prehistoric Shadows and keep uncovering the strange, silent clues left in our bones.